Baseball fans, we've made it. We are here at the Fall Classic, and we have made it to the World Series. And at the end of the day, it's come down to the number one seed in the National League and the number one seed in the American League. The Los Angeles Dodgers and the Tampa Bay Rays will be facing off at a neutral site in Arlington, and it'll be the first time the World Series has ever been played at a neutral site since 1944. If you first time joining us, this is GMs for Hire. My name is Will Polson. Alongside with me today are Matt Perry and Jamil King, and we are here to bring you our World Series predictions for the 2020 season. To give you a quick recap, if you missed most of the LCS series in the National League and the American League, we'll start with the National League, as the Braves were up to a 3-1 series lead. And this is going to be a pattern, by the way. The Braves were up to a 3-1 series lead, and ultimately the Dodgers were able to rise up and play like the number one seed in the National League. Carried by a decent pitching performances and as well as some hot bats, the Dodgers are able to force a Game 7 and then ultimately win it by one run by a final of 4-3, ultimately capped off by a Cody Bellinger moonshot. I mean, it was a bomb, and he knew it was gone too when he hit it too. So ultimately, I'm going to go to you, Matt. What do you think the turning point was for the Dodgers? I mean, down 3-1. They've been to the World Series. They've been to the playoffs multiple years in a row, and they've never seemed to get it done. And they had their backs against the wall in this series. So, what do you think it was that really turned it up for the Dodgers?
If I had to pinpoint an exact moment, I would say it was in Game 5 when Will Smith homered off of Will Smith. They went from being down 2-1 to being up 4-2, and they didn't lose again after that. We shouldn't be surprised when the Dodgers play well. They are the Dodgers, and like you said, they make the playoffs every year. They've been now to the World Series 3 of the last 4 years. It shouldn't be a shock, but going down 3-1, they kind of made themselves the underdog. The Braves had that win streak early in the playoffs, and they looked like they were the same Braves the first 3 or 4 games. And then it just kind of went downhill. The wheels fell off the wagon for them, you could say. Like we both predicted, we both got the Dodgers right in 7, which is exciting. We'll talk about an even cooler prediction in a minute. But, the Dodgers should have won this, and they did. The Braves should not be upset by any means. I know it's tough blowing a 3-1 lead. I'm sure their brothers in Atlanta playing the football would feel a similar way with the 28-3. They're a great team. They're only going to get better from here. Saw a lot of great things this season. The pitching was good despite them blowing 3 straight. Overall, the pitching was good. And, I'm looking forward to what they can do next year. Dodgers are on the World Series, and they have a tough task at the Rays.
You and I said in the LCS video that the Braves are one of the youngest teams in the Major League Baseball. You know, they didn't have everything to lose this year. I mean, this was definitely more of a concerning series for the Dodgers than it was for the Braves. If the Braves don't make it, they've got their core. But ultimately, as mentioned, the Dodgers are able to come back against a young Atlanta Braves team and ultimately make it to the World Series. If I'm not mistaken, this will be their 20th appearance all time into the World Series. And moving on to a not so experienced team in the World Series, they do have an appearance, but obviously they haven't been a franchise nearly as long as the Dodgers, so I can't really give them that much credit. So moving on to the American League, the championship series, as the Tampa Bay Rays, the number one seed, were facing a sub 500 Astros team that had come out of the woodwork and really put it on in the postseason. And they gave the Rays a hell of a run for their money. The Rays were up at a point 3-1 in the series, and then the Astros were able to force a Game 7 similar to the National League Championship Series. And ultimately, the Rays were able to hold it off. Great pitching performances all the way around, especially honestly on both ends. Both ends pitched pretty well. It just came down to a little bit of an offensive surge, ultimately winning 4-2 in Game 7 for the Tampa Bay Rays. And as mentioned by the great prediction that Matt referenced to, you want to talk about a great prediction. This man right below me called this World Series back in May. If you go watch the GMs for Hire video, when we first got started, May 5th was the release date of it. It was our predictions and our realignment video. I'll put a link to that video up in the top right corner of this. This man, and I'll also plug the video right here.
I think, not to be a homer, but I think the Rays have one of the best mixtures of pitching and hitting left. I think I could see them versus the Dodgers in the World Series.
This man called it. This man said that at the beginning, Dodgers Rays, and here we are. All four of us had our teams make the playoffs. Every single round, we've lost one of our teams, and Jamil ends up being the last man standing. Jamil, I'm going to go to you for your team, of course. What do you think it was in the Tampa Bay Rays that were able to hold off the Astros?
I'm not gonna lie to you, Will. After we blew a 3-0 lead, my confidence was shaken. I was not very happy. I was not very confident going into Game 7. But I think what this team did, I saw it throughout the day. What the beat writers talking. They said the team they were relaxed. They're in the clubhouse listening to Drake, just ready for the game. I think that's what they needed to do. They needed to relax. I think after they went up 3-0, they got a little bit complacent. It was like we're up 3-0, like we're gonna win one game in the next three. And then after Carlos Correa hits that walk-off home run, you're like, oh, man, like we got to lock in. And then you go out and get beat down in Game 6. And I put on Twitter, I said, maybe they needed to get beat down. Maybe they needed to get snapped back into reality because they're like, dang, now it's 3-3. Do we really want to end up like the Yankees in 04? No disrespect, Matt. But this is the only team it's only happened there. But like, you that doesn't want to be you. And that first inning when Randy Arozarena hit that home run and you go up to an early lead, I think that really relaxed the dugout, relaxed the clubhouse, and they had them locked in, ready to go. And of course, you have Charlie Morton on the mound, who's never lost a winner go home game. So I think at that point, it was over from the first inning.
You mentioned Randy Arozarena. He was awarded as the ALCS MVP. Speak a little bit on his performances, on how much he's been a blessing to y'all in the playoffs.
This dude's been a godsend for this team. When we acquired him in the offseason, I actually wrote an article for this Rays website I was a part of. I said Randy Arozarena, he's gonna be a big part of this team eventually. It sucks for him. He got COVID early on, but it was a blessing in disguise because he goes to his apartment, eats chicken and rice, does 300 push-ups, and that was over here hitting 7 bombs in the playoffs. He's been absolutely huge for this team. This team needed someone that can stick into the middle of the order next to Meadows and Lau. And with Meadows struggling at the end of the regular season and Lau not being able to hit water in the ocean in the playoffs, he's just been bad. And now Arozarena comes in, steps up. The Rays have that big bat presence in the middle of the lineup that not a lot of people thought they would have. So his presence has been huge for this team.
Arozarena has definitely been there whenever they need it. It always seems like all of his home runs mean something. It's not just like you're up by 8 and then you puts one over and then, you celebrate, now you're up 9. Like Arozarena, it really did come through clutch whenever the Rays needed it. Not as clutch as Michael Brousseau, but definitely had ultimately, obviously, performing better than him in the long run. And going over to the National League, the NLCS MVP, Corey Seager, awarded to him. We've heard Matt reference him as a future Yankee quite a bit, at least in our group chat. Maybe not so much on a video, but Matt, can you talk a little bit about Corey Seager? I saw Jamil shaking his head. Do you maybe think I don't know what Jamil was shaking his head for? Do you maybe think there could have been somebody more deserving of that?
Oh no, it was like good shaking head. Like that dude was playing unbelievable. Like,
oh yeah,
shaking your head like the dude's on fire.
Yeah.
When it comes to Corey Seager, I think he's super underrated, and he's really just proving that. With the way he's playing in the playoffs. He got injured a season or two ago and kind of fell off the map when it came to top shortstops. You got guys like Tatis and
Trey
Story. The shortstop, Francisco Lindor, of course. The shortstop position is a very good one right now in baseball, and the fact that Corey Seager got hurt kind of took him out of that conversation. But you can't forget, this guy did win a Rookie of the Year. I believe he's won a Silver Slugger too. No Gold Gloves yet, I don't want to say, but his defense isn't terrible. But yeah, the main focus has to be his offense. That's what he won the NLCS MVP for. He's been the definition of clutch, kind of how Arozarena has been for the Rays. And as long as he doesn't go cold, I do think he can definitely contribute to the Dodgers team. And yeah, when you think of the Dodgers these days, you think of Bellinger, Betts, Kershaw, Buehler. You don't think of Corey Seager as one of those top names on the Dodgers, but it's time people start. Because I think this Corey Seager is here to stay.
I think Jamil said it best back on the original video of the predictions that it came down to the two teams that had the best combination of both pitching and hitting. No team is super outstanding in one area and then leaves a lackluster hope in the other area. Both teams can hit the bat 1 through 9, or can hit the ball 1 through 9. Both teams have a very solid pitching staff. Both teams have pitched very well out of their bullpen. I mean, overall, these two teams are. I mean, they're the number one seeds. I mean, who'd you expect? You'd like to think that somebody would upset. You'd like to think that something would happen, but ultimately, it came down to the two best teams, regardless of anything in the regular season. So, what's up?
I saw this earlier and I wanted to bring it to you. I wanted to ask your guys' opinion, really.
Oh, I thought it was a Maddie stat coming.
Well, I mean, it's a stat, but
Maddie stat.
Yeah. I just want to give you guys' opinion. So Pablo Sandoval in 2014 had 26 hits in the postseason. That is the record currently. Arozarena is at 21 and counting. Do you guys think he can break Sandoval's record?
Jamil, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, 5 hits. He has 21. Needs 5 to tie, 6 to get it. I think it's very feasible. He gets 6. I think this is going to be a long series, so I personally think that Arozarena will find a way to at least tie the record. He's hitting the ball so well right now, and the Dodgers pitching's been hittable. That's something we'll get into later. So I think he has a good chance to beat that record.
Yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, he's got to go historically cold not to do it. I mean, he's been if not, he's been the hottest hitter for the Tampa Bay Rays. If he can't manage to find 5 hits in this series, then I'll be thoroughly shocked. And that'd be props to the pitching staff of the Dodgers, because if they're able to shut him down, it's going to be a scary series for Tampa Bay, because that's been their one guy. That's been the guy whenever you need it, he's there. I mean, they've had people come in and hit RBIs, get what they need. I know Zunino had a clutch RBI at a point. I know KK's had a couple of instances where he's gotten a good RBI, but I mean, Arozarena's been the guy. So ultimately it's going to come down to that. So
the crazy thing about him too is all these home runs, I was telling people the other day, they're all opposite field. He's not like a Deadpool guy. This dude's spraying the ball over the field, and his power's the right center right now. And it's really crazy.
That's where the home run was in Game 7.
Yeah, like 3 of them were. And Petco Park is traditionally a pitcher's park, not a hitter's park. So I was surprised at all the runs that were scored in San Diego. I'm gonna be honest, even though they played a lot of games during the day, and the ball drops completely different during the day there versus night.
They rejuiced the balls. I can almost guarantee it. But follow-up question. I also agree that Randy can do it. But follow-up question. This came from Cespedes Family Barbecue on Twitter, who ran a poll earlier today. Who will have more postseason hits? Randy in 2020, which is up 75-25 on Mike Trout in his entire career. Randy currently has the 14 spot. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He has 21 in 14 games. I'm sorry. And then Mike Trout has 1 hit in, I think, 4 games or something. So
who will have the most postseason hits?
Yes, Randy
Arozarena in 2020 or Trout
Randy,
in his whole career.
I'm sorry, I must have misspoke. Randy just this year.
I thought you were saying Trout his whole regular season and everything. I was like,
yeah.
Gonna go Trout.
I mean, Arozarena is just a rookie. We never really know, but yeah, it's Arozarena's postseason this year or Mike Trout's career postseason, and Arozarena's up 75.
I'm so tempted to say Arozarena because
right?
Do we see the Angels making the playoffs more than 3 times in the next 7 years?
We don't know. If they get Trevor Bauer, I'd hope so. But
I mean, even with him, that team still to me has a lot of problems that we can get into in an off-season video. But
that team needs one way more than one
more
pitcher.
than one starter to me.
Yeah, they're an 8 and a reliever away at least.
They need at least 2 starters.
To me, it would depend on how if the Astros collapse, if they keep their team. Because I think as long as the Astros have their guys, they're going to keep and the A's to me will still be at the top of the division. So
the A's are doing this without any really solid.
They're built like the Rays. You just have a whole bunch of good guys that can play. There's no one.
They got good.
They got Chapman and Olsen as got studs.
I'm talking about
like aside from them, like
the A's besides Liam Hendricks and Blake Trinan sometimes don't have pitching.
Blake Trinan's on the Dodgers.
There you go. I'm thinking of the show. I'm thinking of his flashback card. Yeah, Trinan.
Other than like Chris Bassett this season and Sean Manaea sometimes, and then Liam Hendricks. I mean, the pitching staff's got a lot of question marks, but I mean, the Angels got to have more. There shouldn't be a single pitcher that's safe in that rotation or that bullpen. I mean, there's nobody really that is worth it. But I mean,
I'm gonna go Arozarena in that.
Yeah, I kind of want to go Arozarena too.
Yeah, but it wouldn't shock me.
That's disgusting to even think. But all right, getting to the meat and potatoes, the World Series. Both teams over 1,000 miles away from their respected stadiums, but here they are. They're meeting in Arlington. It's going to be Tampa Bay. It's going to be Los Angeles. One of the top payrolls versus the bottom payroll. It's exactly the David versus Goliath story that you want. But even though the Rays are the best team in the American League, but ultimately it ended up where we are at today. So, Matt, I'm going to start with you. I need a winner. I need amount of games, and then give me a prediction on who your World Series MVP is.
This is really tough for me. I want to represent Team Tampa Bay and go with the Rays, but this has definitely been my hardest prediction to make. Even sitting here with you guys now, I don't know if I have a clear cut. I think it's going to be really close. I hope the Rays give them a run for their money. I think the Rays deserve it a little more than the Dodgers, and I kind of want the Dodgers to be frauds so I could talk about it. But all bias aside, the Dodgers have a really great team. That's no surprise, no question. Corey Seeger heating up is definitely going to really help them. Bellinger had a slow start. He had that clutch home run last game. If he can carry on with that, who knows what will happen. Mookie Betts, he's doing great in the field, great with the bat. Career .310 hitter with against the Rays. We've seen him do plenty of damage to them. I think it's going to come down to pitching. The Dodgers, Walker Buehler had a good start. Kershaw was shaky, as he typically is in the playoffs. The bullpen was here and there. Definitely scared us a little bit. The Rays definitely have the better bullpen. Diego Castillo got them out of several big situations. Peter Fairbanks, I know, had one mess up, I think, last series. But overall, he's been good. I'm going to go Rays in 6. It might be wrong of me not to go 7, but I think going Glasnow then Snell, I think they're going to jump out to a 2-0 lead and be able to win 2 of the next 4 and bring another championship to Tampa.
There you go.
Forgot about the ALCS, the World Series MVP. I don't want to say Randy again, even though it wouldn't shock me. I'd hope it's a pitcher, just because I think that's going to be what's most important. Glasnow is going to make 2 starts. Snell might make 2 starts. I'll go Blake Snell. Sure. If I had to go with a hitter, I will go Randy, or I do think Brandon Lau can wake up this series. He's been god-awful in the postseason after a pretty good regular season. But for a hitter, I'll go Brandon Lau. I'll take a not-so-common pick.
That could definitely be this is definitely the series to wake up. Brandon Lau, if you're listening, I mean, come on. Get with the times. You know, it's the World Series, baby. You got to start hitting. Jamil, will go to you. A team, amount of games, and an MVP.
Obviously everybody knows I'm a Rays fan by now, but to be completely honest, this is easily going to be the toughest series of them all. I did not want to play this team. I wanted to play the Braves very, very badly, but obviously this Dodgers team is very talented. And I was told a lot of people that this team is the perfect mix of the Astros and the Yankees. You have the Yankees' ability to go deep 1 through 9, and then you have the Astros' ability to just nickel and dime you, and they just have these guys in order that are going to find their way on base. So I think it's going to be very tough. But also, the Dodgers pitching to me was very shaky against the Braves. Before the season was started, I easily would have said Dodgers beat the Rays, but now I'm going to go Rays in 7. And because that, I think the Dodgers I don't think the Dodgers have the pitching. They don't have the arms to me. I think if you get to their bullpen guys like Gosselin, if you get the Taryn, if you get to Grustaball, those guys are hittable, and they look shaky to me. Jansen is not trustworthy in the 9th right now. And for MVP, I agree with Matt. You stole my pick. I think Brandon Lau wakes up. This was, without a doubt, the best hitter on the team in the regular season. It's a guy that the Rays need to get hot to win, though, because what I saw against the Astros, let's be honest, they barely got out of there. And to win the series, they're going to need him to click, and the whole lineup has to click. The solo home runs aren't going to get the job done against the Dodgers. You're going to need to get guys on base. You're going to have to manufacture runs, something that they weren't able to do against Houston. It was all home runs. So if they can get the lineup going, they get Lau going in the right direction. Rosarena keeps going. I think the train doesn't stop here. I think the Rays get the first ring.
All right. Do I be the evil guy? Do I go against it?
I won't even call it evil.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those to where, as mentioned, I mean, obviously it's going to be the hardest one. It's the number 1 versus the number 1. In the last video, I said that my heart wanted the Braves, but my gut took the Dodgers. in this one, my heart wants the Rays, but my gut wants the Dodgers again. And it's one of those to where who do I take? And at the end of the day, I followed my gut on the last one. I'm going to follow my heart on this one. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays in 7, similar to what Jamil said, but I'm going to go different from the MVP point. Talk about a guy who's been absolutely lights out so far. I'm going to continue with that. And for the first time since 1999, I think a reliever is going to win another World Series MVP and give it to Diego Castillo. I think he's going to come in. I could see him closing down all 4 games that the Rays win, because I don't see any of these games being blowouts. I think these are going to be very close games all the way through. And I wouldn't be shocked to see low scoring. I wouldn't be shocked to see if every single team every game was won by a margin of less than 3 runs. I don't see any way in which either team really blows the other one out. Both teams have great offenses. One's a little bit more known for the power. One's a little bit more known just for getting on base and making things happen. Both teams have very powerful pitching staffs. But at the end of the day, I'm going to ride the hot hand. And the hot hand right now in that Rays bullpen is Diego Castillo. I mean, I think he's pitching beyond lights out. I think it's almost phenomenal to watch him come in and pitch out of situations, as Matt said earlier, because he has been put into a lot of tight situations in a lot of very important games, and he's made it happen. So I'm going to go Diego Castillo. I'm going to go Rays in 7, and hopefully they're going to bring home that first ring to Tampa Bay and add to the Tampa Bay collection of trophies this season. So how amazing would that be? I mean, hey, Tampa Bay is just going to bring them all home, you know. But that'll bring us to the end of the World Series predictions. We've made it this far. There were so many questions on if we'd even have an MLB season just a couple of months ago. And now here we are getting ready to bask in the World Series. And even Jamil gets to celebrate his team being in it. So what a phenomenal year 2020 has been. It's been different by all means. There's been a lot of things that have changed. There's been a lot of differences this season from any other season. But, you know, hopefully we can keep some of that moving into next season. Maybe we'll see the universal DH keep going. Maybe we'll see extended playoffs keep going. You know, whatever it's going to be. No, I don't want to see any more sub 500 teams in the playoffs either. But, you know, whatever's going to happen, I mean, we're going to find out next season. But ultimately, before we get there, we have to go through the World Series. The best thing that fall has to offer. And so we will see exactly who can triumph going into that. Any closing thoughts from either one of you heading into the World Series that starts on Tuesday? Matt?
Glad you mentioned extended playoffs. I do think despite, I don't want them either, Jamil. No thanks. But we have had some great moments in the playoffs despite it not being the
ideal. Shut up, Marlins.
Yeah. You know, the Marlins.
Hey, I told y'all someone bad was gonna make the playoffs.
Yeah,
and shout out the Orioles. Shout out Baltimore.
There you go. We had the Marlins. They put on a great little Cinderella story for us for a second. Both series, the Rays, Astros, and Dodgers, Braves went 7 and had some great moments in them. So I don't know. I'm just happy that we got some great moments. Some great history was made. But yeah. No extended playoffs next year, please.
I'm happy that not every bad team came in and got blown out. You know, it wasn't like, you know, if there's going to be extended playoffs, I'm glad at least one of them moved on. I mean, that being the Astros and the Marlins. You know, the Astros are who they are, but who the hell would have expected the Marlins? I mean, even in the video, I said they weren't going to score a run in that series, and that was a joke. The Cubs only scored 1, so that's the real joke. The Cubs
dominated the Cubs.
What's that?
They dominated the Cubs.
Yeah, they looked horrible. I love it. I love every minute of it.
Sixto Sanchez looks like a baller.
Yeah, they've got something special down there. They obviously, I mean, they're in a rebuilding phase. They can't be content with the team that they have. But I mean, the fact that they made it this far this season, I mean, it shows, especially with how much they were going through COVID and everything. It shows a lot of resiliency between that and St. Louis. Both teams went through a lot of COVID problems and both made it. So proud of both teams. But
you know what's crazy about this World Series? The Rays, we got the number 1 farm system in the baseball. I think the Dodgers have the number 3 farm system in baseball. So it's crazy.
You want to talk about teams that are going to be good for a long time? I mean,
it's crazy that they're in the World Series and they can replace anyone in their team next year with someone out of that farm.
I mean, hell, they've got a bunch of young guys in there doing it now that at the beginning of the season weren't even playing, Rosarina, McClanahan. I'm sure there's got to be a couple more, or at least, first, second year players. I mean, and there's a lot on the upcoming. I mean, Wander Franco is going to be up there soon. Shane Baz. I mean, there's a lot of players that could come up for the Tampa Bay, and I'm sure the storyline's just the same for the Dodgers. I know Jeter Downs, but other than that, I'm not too sure.
No, they traded Downs to get Betts.
Oh, well.
Their best prospect's Gavin Lux now.
They got Keibert Ruiz, too. He's fun.
Yeah, Ruiz at catcher, Lux at second. They got a lot of different options, too.
They got a lot coming up, too. So, I mean, the future's bright for both teams, but right now, I mean, the present's just as bright. I mean, both teams obviously making it to the World Series. So, congrats to both teams. We will see.
Matt, if Blake Snell locks in, that'd be dangerous because he's
important. That's a very important.
He's been average. So, if he locks in, that'd be something different for this team.
For sure.
Hopefully, we'll see exactly who all locks in and everything like that whenever we come back, because I guarantee we're going to be back for a World Series recap and to congratulate the new 2020 World Series champion. But until then, we will see you in the next one. For Matt Perry and for the Ultimate Prediction King, Tampa Bay Ray fandom, Jamil King, I'm Will Wilson, and this is GMs for Hire, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.